What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I'm always getting questions on what my exhaust setup is on my S6, and today I'm finally going to give you guys a clear, concise, and full breakdown of what my exhaust is. For those of you guys that are new to the channel, this is my 2014 Audi S6. Currently it's on upgraded turbos, it has full bolt-ons, everything except for some cooling mods. I'm gonna go ahead and break down everything that's done to the exhaust to get it sound the way that I have it. But first, we have to take care of one very annoying thing. So I'm going to show you guys the front of my car, and I want to see if you guys can figure out what it is that is annoying and that's bothering me. Alright, so take a look at this general area and this general area. If you haven't figured it out, my parking sensor is in place perfectly here, but one's missing here. Fortunately, we had an incident where my car was hit from the front, just barely, but now I have one of my parking sensors pushed in and it's just constantly beeping every time I'm in reverse. So here is the scenario we're facing right now. Of course it's not doing it now, but you see the right sensor, how much closer it shows? Hopefully super gluing it will hold it and we won't have to mess with it again. Alright guys, well that was a complete and utter fail. There's obviously nothing here still, so the only thing I can think of is getting another piece of plastic, cutting that piece of plastic, putting it behind the piece of plastic for the sensor, and then gluing that piece of plastic that's on the piece of plastic to a piece of plastic behind the grill.
What?
Now we're going to move to the part that you guys have actually been waiting for and why you clicked on this video, and that is the exhaust setup for my vehicle. So my S6 is currently equipped with ARM catless downpipes. So these are the straight down pipes, not the crossovers. And then from there, we go to the OEM mid pipes, which have the resonators deleted. There are no resonators on this vehicle. Front resonators were deleted and replaced with an X pipe. This is where you can kind of mix it up if you want. I'll go into that in a bit. But from the X pipe, I go back to the OEM resonator with the back box deleted. The mufflers are actually not the OEM mufflers. I have those cut out as well and replaced with Valvetronic universal mufflers. Usually I like to stay with the OEM mufflers on my vehicles whenever I mod them, but the OEM mufflers on the S6 are just so restrictive and they did not allow for any sound to get through, even with catless downpipes and resonators deleted. If you have the non-sport exhaust, I recommend you just get rid of those mufflers and find something else, whether it's the sport mufflers or the mufflers I have. The reason I called out the X pipe is because you can either go with an X pipe, go with the straight dual pipe like how it has OEM, or an H pipe. If you do an X pipe or H pipe, you're going to clean up the sound and really even out the exhaust. An X pipe is going to make this V8 sound a bit more exotic and you're going to get a lot more crisper shifts. But if you go with an H pipe, you're going to get more of like an 80s muscle car vibe, and it's going to sound a lot deeper and kind of meaner, to be honest. The X pipe really makes it sound a lot more clean and refined, where the H pipe is really if you want to get crazy and you want to sound like a beast. So with that being said, if you like the loudness of the exhaust and everything, then you want just something a little bit more muscly, then go with an H pipe or straight dual, which I would recommend just putting an H pipe. If you like how mine sounds, then you'll do an X pipe. But we'll go ahead and get into some sound clips, and then I'll give you guys a breakdown of my review driving this car with this setup every single day and the cost breakdown. Alright guys, so I really don't know where we're at, but looks like an abandoned retirement home or something. I think we're out of the public's eye, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get some revs for you right here. We definitely left some tire marks. tunnel run right now for you too. I think you guys have a basic understanding of what the exhaust sounds like and whether you like it or not. Now, like I mentioned previously, if you want something more muscle car-y, you definitely got to go with an H pipe or with a true dual. The X pipe is, like I said, it's going to make it a little bit more high pitched and give it a lot more cleaner and more exotic sound is how I would describe it. And as you saw from that little launch I did, even right now you can hear in-cabin sound. It's not bad. Like, there's some downshifts. It's not bad at all. So yeah, the exhaust sound within the cabin is very like minimal. They did a very good job with sound deadening this car, so there's nothing to worry about on that end. The only one thing I wish that this car had though was some burbles or pops. Nothing crazy, just like a pop or two. I think that would really add to the enjoyment of the exhaust. If that's more of a tuning thing, you could always ask your tuners if you want pops, and most of them will do it if it's a custom tune. I do think of switching to an H pipe sometimes to get that more gurgly sound, but this exhaust is still perfectly fine. It sounds good, and I think the X pipe is actually better for flow versus the H pipe. Alright guys, so now it's time to answer the burning question I'm sure you all have, but how much did this setup cost? For my setup, I only paid $1.5. Okay, so it's cut up in pieces, but the downpipes probably like around $400, $450. They're usually on sale. I have ARM catless straight down pipes. The X pipe I bought from Jegs for like 60 or 80 bucks, and I bought that like years ago when I had another vehicle. And the last component for this are the Valvetronic universal mufflers. Those are $500, I believe, for a set of two. So you're looking at like $1,000 in total for this setup, which if you're comparing it to like Akrapovic, Militech, things like that, you're saving a good chunk of money from getting a custom exhaust versus buying one of those exhausts. I know the exhaust diameter and things like that and all the manufacturing that goes into Akrapovic and Militech, they look really nice. They're probably a lot lighter and they have a larger diameter, but for what this is, I think it's a really good bargain. You can really, you know, pick and choose and modulate the exhaust the way you want it and kind of come down to fine tune it the way you like. So I kind of like the exhaust like this. It's as easy as swapping from an X pipe to an H pipe if I want a different sound, but I would definitely recommend this exhaust. I will say driving the vehicle versus idle revs, driving the car sounds a lot better. So I did try to throw some clips in of that. Putting the car in neutral or park and just revving it just doesn't do the car justice. It doesn't give it, I don't know, it's just weird. It's not the same. But with all that said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I do get a lot of questions on the exhaust for my car, so I hope this video was insightful. I hope it helped you decide what you want to do with your exhaust, and if it did, leave a like, leave a comment if you have any other questions, and we will see you guys in the next video.